Executes really well under pressure. They play well at home. They play well on the road. And, we just can't have anything less than our best.
I'm Pete Fox. This is NBC Sports Radio.
Let it be known that members of the Yucaipa Valley Water District and the San Bernardino Valley Municipal Water District support the election of Ken Munoz to represent the residents and taxpayers of Division 5 of the San Bernardino Valley Municipal Water District. Most importantly, Ken Munoz is a team player. Ken has the communication skills necessary to foster cooperation and achieve consensus regarding policy decisions. As a businessman and former elected official, Ken has over 30 years of experience in water-related industries. As a resident of District 5 for 37 years, Ken will work to protect and preserve precious water reserves. Keep water rates low for consumers. Elect Ken Munoz, San Bernardino Valley Municipal Water Board, Division 5. For more info, it's votekenmunoz.com. Paid for and authorized by Ken Munoz for San Bernardino Valley Municipal Water District, Director, Division 5. Political ID 1405728.
I'm Josie Gonzalez, and I support Aquanetta Warren for mayor of the city of Fontana. She is a powerful individual who goes out and leads and opens the way for us, for progress, for manufacturing, for technology. I believe in Aquanetta Warren.
I'm Mayor Aquanetta Warren from the great city of Fontana, and I will continue to move Fontana forward. I'm Mayor Aquanetta Warren, and I approve this message.
Paid for by citizens and friends of Aquanetta Warren for Mayor 2018.
Re-elect Riverside County Sheriff Stan Sniff on November 6th, because Sheriff Sniff will keep our families safe. Let's keep a proven and experienced leader in this critical office as he continues to modernize our Sheriff's Department by integrating technology tools for his deputies and dramatically improving their training and equipment. Vote for experience, proven leadership, and integrity. Vote to re-elect Riverside County Sheriff Stan Sniff on November 6th. Paid for by Friends of Stan Sniff 2018.
Rent-A-Center is lowering prices like way down. Now for $19.99 per week, you can get an Xbox One or PS4. And what better way to enjoy those consoles than on an Altoro Dune sofa with a reversible chase? Again, for $19.99 per week. $19.99. Rent-A-Center has a worry-free guarantee, free same-day delivery, and competitor price matching. Rent-A-Center, located in the Tri-City Shopping Center in Redlands, where the 10 and the 210 meet between the Alabama and Tennessee exits. Rent-A-Center, $19.99 per week. Sale price is valid until October 28th.
Once again, this is Reverend Irma Forward, and my companion this morning, as always, is the inimitable Jean Kennedy, religious science practitioner extraordinaire. She's extraordinary.
Thank you.
Yes, she is. And so we are grateful to be here this morning, and we come to you with this idea of providing spiritual direction for your life, because spiritual direction is sometimes what we absolutely need to step forward. And so we devote each Sunday to giving you ideas that will allow you to step into your future with ease and grace, and know that you're surrounded by the Spirit of a living God that supports us at all time. However, this morning I would like for you to encourage each one of you to exercise your right as a citizen of this great nation to vote this coming Tuesday. It is somewhat of a spiritual idea. It is a spiritual idea because we're here, and we're here because of the love of God and because of the presence of God that surrounds everything. So no matter what your political ideas are, we encourage you to vote, and to vote your conscience. And for that, we give thanks, great thanks, because this is what keeps our nation so wonderful and so great. This morning, this program once again is dedicated to the memory of Reverend Sue Constantinides, a very powerful New Thought teacher. And this morning we'll be talking a little bit more about the writings of a New Thought teacher from the 1900s, and that would be Emma Curtis Hopkins. So we invite you to stay tuned for that. and to know that you are surrounded by love. Jean and I send our love out to you. That love radiates to you. And so we invite you to stay with us this morning as we have a very powerful message for you. And that message is entitled, let's see, what do we title that? To make a holy covenant. To make a covenant with God, with the Spirit that lives within you, that lives, moves, and has its perfect being in and through you. And so once you make that covenant, then you're somewhat committed to your own wonderful spiritual evolution, your spiritual expansion, and how that will take place. And so, Jean, this morning, do we have any announcements? I don't have anything other than for everybody to vote once again. Do you have any?
I do not have any announcements,
Okay.
but remember that you can reach us on our Facebook page, Wake Up Awareness. And we would love to hear from you because we love the sharing and the love. And that was all. And voting, very important. Everybody needs to exercise that right because it's very, very important.
And so that, having said all of that, we want to begin to anchor our program this morning in prayer. Jean does that for us each week in a magnificent manner. And I know that she's propelled by Spirit this morning as she anchors us in prayer once again. Thank you.
Please join with me as I recognize the truth of perfection for each one of us, and that we come together in love, seeking our true spiritual path and our spiritual home. We're guided by divine wisdom in our lessons today, so everyone listening will benefit and feel the magnificence of their divine. We know the truth of perfection for all, including ourselves, our engineer Rick, our listeners, our community, and the world. We know and accept that our words and thoughts have power, and we recognize that power as our God source within each and every one of us. And for this, I say thank you, God, and I release these words, and I know it is so, and so it is.
Thank you. It is so perfectly. Our musical inspiration this morning is from the wonderful Ricky Byers Beckwith, and it is entitled Pour Yourself in Me, and that is by Ricky Byers Beckwith. morning for Spirit to pour itself into us in its many forms of joy and understanding and love, but just simply pouring itself constantly into us and allowing us to expand into our greater yet to be. And that includes each one of us here and each one of you out there. And so we're just so grateful that we have this opportunity of knowing that there is this living Spirit pouring itself constantly into each one of us. And so today we want to continue to explore the theme idea that we had been working with for the past few weeks, and that is the idea of seeing God in everything. And we've had a very powerful few weeks as we have seen God in a variety of ways. And first, we set our intention to see God in everything. And then, if we have a lot of buts, and that is the B-U-T, in our way, then we can't see God in everything, and we can't practice this idea of embracing spiritual principles for our lives. But we have to get those kind of buts, the B-U-T, out of our way. And we're not talking about B-U-T-T-S. We're talking about just B-U-T. But I could do this, but. So we want to know that we are surrounded by magnificent spiritual principles. Jean, those spiritual principles are, what would we say the spiritual principles are that enhance and supports our journey in this thing called life, as Ernest Holmes calls it?
Well, some of the spiritual principles are gratitude.
Okay.
Intention.
Okay.
Generosity. Forgiveness.
All right.
Optimism. Expectation. Integrity. And love.
All right. And so how would we describe integrity? And I heard this one day from a very powerful daytime show called Oprah, and she described integrity as doing the right thing even when nobody is watching you, but to do the right thing at all times. And we want to set our intention to do the right thing at all times. And we want to be generous with our love and our whatever it is that we have to offer. And then we have this idea, Jean, of forgiveness, and we have to step into that. Sometimes we don't want to do that, but sometimes we have forgiven and we don't always know that we have, but we do move on. Right.
And you know, they say that forgiveness, when we forgive, it frees us to love again.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
So forgiveness is very important, and the first person that we need to forgive is ourselves.
For sure. For sure, because we put such high expectations on ourselves, and then we hold ourselves in high criticism when we're not doing what we think that we should do to enhance and expand our lives. And so we want to be very careful of just being too hard on ourselves, because that can hold you back. It can hold you in the back. And when I say in the back, in the past, it can hold you with ideas from the past that no longer serve you.
Correct.
So we want to let them go. And we want to always love, and we love unconditionally, no matter what. We don't put conditions on the love, because then, again, that holds us back too, when we put conditions on our love and our givingness to people. We have to let it go and just be thankful when?
All the time.
We want to be thankful all the time. And so all of that is a part of getting ourselves out of the way, as Emerson says, to get our bloated nothingness out of the way of the divine circuits and allow these divine circuits. He had this idea of energy flowing because he called it, back in the 1800s, he called it the circuits, the divine circuits, and now we call it just energy that's flowing in and through each one of us. So today we want to wrap up our thing by getting better acquainted with an old teacher of New Thought. She has come through very powerfully, and she has direct and clear ideas and many things to say, and that is Emma Curtis Hopkins. Now, when we offer the classes in Science of Mind, her writings are an integral part and become very clear ideas. as we examine the roots of science of mind classwork. And she's a very powerful teacher. She has written 2 very powerful books, Scientific Christian Mental Practice, and another book called High Mysticism. Both of them are worthy of your reading. She lived in the 1800s, just to give you a little background on her. She lived in the 1800s, and she was a student of the Christian Science founder and teacher, Mary Baker Eddy. Now, because Emma Curtis Hopkins became so very powerful in her expression of these ideas of new thought and seeing God in everything, and she frequently referred to God as the good, God the good at all times, she became a teacher of teachers. She taught teachers how to teach this principle of new thought. And she was a teacher of the Fillmores. She taught Ernest Holmes. She taught Emily Cady, who established a group called Lessons in Truth. Now, here's an interesting fact about her, because she was always listening, and she allowed, as it said in the song, for Spirit to always flow through her. At the age of 15, she entered in a school called Woodstock Academy over there in Connecticut as a student, and because of her genius, I'm going to say her spiritual genius at this point, she was given a place on the faculty as a teacher at the tender age of 15. That's a very powerful expression of who she was and how she was allowing Spirit at age 15 to work in and through her. She gave Ernest Holmes and other great metaphysicians the ladder to take them to levels of higher consciousness. She taught them how to be in the world and not of the world. She taught them how to see God in everything, and her message is still relevant today.
Oh, so much so.
Yes.
She has a quote that is probably one of my most favorite quotes.
Okay.
And she wraps up a lot of what the New Thought philosophy is very easily. Mm-hmm. And it's something that I have to rely on a lot of times. Mm-hmm. She said that a violet does not struggle to be.
Okay.
And that kind of sums up everything. It shows the creative urge as the violet, and a violet does not struggle to be. Mm-hmm. And that means that we do not need to struggle to be.
That's right. We don't. We just have to be. I don't know, I may have shared this with you before, but I knew a young man who said to me one day, Reverend Irma, I think that we need a new position on the United States cabinet. The executive, and he says, I want to be Secretary of State of Being. The Secretary of State of Being. Just to be and to allow things to flow in and around us, and to know that there's a principle behind all of that that is guiding and guarding us. So this morning, though, I want to share some other ideas that have been stimulated in me by reading Emma Curtis Hopkins' Scientific Christian Mental Practice, and I've read it with fresh eyes most recently, just simply because you read and you always find something new that you think you may have been left out originally, but it wasn't. It was there all the time. So before we do get into that, I would like for us to consider another question. Does anybody know what the 4 most dangerous words in the English language are? Do you know what they are, Jane?
Yeah, I do.
What are they?
I already know that.
I already know that. Okay.
Yep.
So talk about a willingness to have a beginner's mind. And this is how I approach this book. Just being, once again, to have this open mind, not to say I already knew what was in the book. The words are there. But we want to just be able to open ourselves up and receive anew, as if we were very young beginners into the teachings. Now, Jean, these are some words coming up that I love from this great teacher. So I want to invite you to share them with our audience today as we begin our lesson for today.
Emma Curtis Hopkins says something that many of us do not believe. Mm-hmm. We have unlimited power.
Okay.
If we do not use that power, it does not alter the fact that it is our inheritance. We have unlimited wisdom. Mm-hmm. if we do not draw upon it, that does not alter the fact that it's being ours.
Right. So we have power.
And we have wisdom.
And we have wisdom. And we don't always draw upon that. We always think that we're somewhat inferior a lot of times, or that we're insignificant for whatever reasons, and that we don't know anything, that everybody else knows stuff. But we know stuff. We just have to rely on Spirit in order to tap the wisdom of the stuff that we know, okay? So we have to draw upon that wisdom that we do have, and then guess what? When we draw upon that wisdom that we do have, we haven't depleted anything, because Source is infinite in its wisdom and infinite in its understanding of all things. So therefore, when we allow, as the song said, allow Spirit to pour itself in us, we are tapping into infinite wisdom. And so let me go just a little step further, Jean. We have unlimited light. And if we don't shine this light, it doesn't mean that the bulb has burned out. It just simply means that we're not shining our light. But the potential is still there. The spark is still there for us to shine our light. And we have this song that we sing in a lot of New Thought churches, and in regular, and when I say regular churches, traditional Christian centers, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. And we even say little light, but you know, our light is big. It's big, and we just want to let it shine. And then we have unlimited health. And if we do not experience it, it does not alter the fact that it is ours to have. But we do have unlimited health. We have unlimited joy. We have unlimited abundance, peace, balance, and harmony. And if we do not express these things, it does not alter one whit the fact that they are our truth and our divine birthright. And so it is our right to be joyful. It is our right to be abundant. It is our right to experience peace and balance and harmony in life. And we want to be able to express these things. And so, Jean, we have another expression here that uses what I would call right now the C word. And that word is what? Contagion? Contagious. We want to be contagious for God so that people can feel our light and feel our energy, so that they can say, I want what she is having. So you see, when we allow Spirit to pour itself in us, there's a certain radiance that stimulates, that emulates from us. And people will look at you and say, well, you're really shining today. What's going on in your life? And they want what you got. They want that. And all we have to do is express and to know and to shine and to emanate and be contagious for the power that is God, be contagious for the wisdom of God, for the light, for the health, for the joy and the abundance, the peace and the balance and the harmony, according to Emmett Curtis Hopkins, that we just have to believe in all of that. So, Jean, what do you think the answer to that is?
Well, here's the answer.
Okay.
Plain and simple. And we don't want you to say to yourself, I already know that, because that will cut off your ability to really bring in these God qualities.
Okay, and we talked about the God qualities earlier. We called them spiritual principles. Okay, so would you just kind of go down that list one more time of what these are just, and these are just a few. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we don't want to limit.
No, we don't.
So we have gratitude, intention, generosity, forgiveness, optimism, expectation, integrity, and love.
Okay, so Jean, what you're saying is that between you and your power and your wisdom and your light and your health and your joy and your abundance, your peace, your balance, and your harmony, all of which belongs to you and all of which you ought to experience. There is no idea of absence when you experience the love and the balance, etc., that we have talked about here. That there is no idea about absence of anything because we have allowed Spirit to pour itself in us. And how do you do that? It's not like pouring water out of a cup into us, but it is being still and knowing that the presence of God is ever available and allowing that Spirit to embrace us and to love us and to surround us and not be uncomfortable when you feel this presence, this invisible presence surrounding you, but just simply to know that the presence of God is ever available through this process of peace and balance and harmony. So we want to get that. So plain and simple that I need to say it again. Between you and your power, your wisdom, your light, your health, your joy, and your abundance, in addition to balance and harmony, all of which belongs to you and all of which you ought to experience because it's your right to experience these things, is simply your idea of the absence of them. So there is no absence. We want to erase that idea that there is no absence of these God qualities for you to experience because they're ever available. And as long as we are still, as long as we know that the presence of God is ever around us, then we can negate this idea of absence and simply know that all of these, the power, the wisdom, and once again, the light, the health, the joy, the abundance, all of these things are ours to experience. So we want to let go of this idea that there's absence or that there's lack of anything. So let's get to work on that right now. And so I want to give you a few things to do this morning. So first, one of the things that we want to do is to make and say statements of foundational spiritual truths. And we have spiritual truths and principles that we've gone over already this morning twice because they're very powerful ideas. But to say these ideas about spiritual truths, we want to say them. So you can say that I'm grateful for absolutely everything that I have and everything that I anticipate having. I'm grateful for that. And I'm setting my intention today to do good works, to allow the Spirit of God to work through me to do good works today. And I'm a generous person. I love to give. And what happens? It becomes reciprocal universe because then once you give, you receive more of what you've given away because Spirit knows no lack and wants you to have all that you can receive. And so that's another challenge that we may have is to open up and be receptive. And know that we're not being selfish because it is God's good pleasure to give us the kingdom, and it is our responsibility to open up and receive it. And guess what? God gives everybody the same in equal amounts if they're open and receptive to the reception. We have to be available to it. We have to be available to it. And I say have to because that is the truth. Because we negate our abundance. We negate our prosperity by not being open to it and by thinking that we're unworthy to receive it, but we're so worth it because we're here, because we're here. And so we want to negate any ideas of the absence of abundance and prosperity. And so I invite you to just simply let them go. And secondly, we want to reject whatever contradicts these ideas, but just to get our big butt, B-U-T, out of the way. That's what we have to do. And third, we want to be able to rally every idea that we can think of that confirms these wonderful principles. And then we're going to get to the fourth one in just a second here. But let's make this real and personal. So let's say you are being faced with a decision and you're struggling with this decision. You just don't know what to do about this. And you're wanting some divine wisdom. Now, does that apply to you this morning sometimes, Jean? It applies to me a lot.
Yeah, it applies to me a lot too.
Yes, yes. And so we want to consider this as a personal gift to you this morning because we want to encourage you to simply know that divine wisdom is available for you. Now, we want our minds to contradict or negate anything that is unlike the positive nature of God expressing itself, and say aloud to yourself, I reject the idea that I'm saying the word but about anything. I'm rejecting that idea. One idea would say, I'm not knowledgeable enough to start this adventure. Or you would say, but I'm too old. That's not true, because you wouldn't have the idea if you were too old to receive it. That's my thinking about that. Mm-hmm. So if you weren't able to handle it or to do what it takes to manifest the idea, then it wouldn't come to you. So that's that but needs to go. We need to let that one go. And thirdly, we want to rally every idea that you can think of that supports the spiritual truths that we identified. So what do we do with abundance if there's time? We want to know that abundance is ours to receive, it is ours to have, and guess what? It is ours to share. And we invite you not to be afraid to share those things that you have, because they do come back to you pressed down and running over. I know you hear the old saying in church when the minister is collecting money or collecting the tithes and offerings, they say give. And to give a lot, and it comes back to you pressed down and running over. And truthfully, it does if you just simply let it go, not to worry about it, and to let it go. Abundance does come back to you. It flows back to you quite easily. Jesus called the fourth step that we're going to be talking about this morning as faith. And we've talked about faith a lot on this program. Faith is something that, what do we call faith, Jean? How did we describe that at one point? How did we describe faith?
Well, there's several different ways, but my favorite way is back to my quotes, taking that first step without and seeing where the staircase goes.
That's right. See, not knowing how it's going to manifest itself,
but know that it will.
Knowing that it will, but knowing that it will, and you can't even see the way, but you know that it will manifest itself according to what? Your faith and your belief. And so we allow that to happen. But Jesus did not say, according to thy denial or according to thy affirmation be it unto thee, but rather, according to thy faith be it done unto you. You can do these first three steps until the cows come home, but if you don't have the fourth step, the faith, if you don't have faith, then you will not be able to use your power. You will not be able to draw upon your wisdom, your light. You won't even be able to shine your light. You won't be able to sing the song, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. You won't be able to express your health, your joy, your abundance, your peace, and your balance and your harmony. What happens is we all get fired up. We go to a conference, we go to a seminar, we come to a Sunday service, and we think that we're getting clear about who we are. We're letting go of old ideas that we are not, and then Monday comes, it shows up once every 7 days. Monday comes and it hits, and our faith and those ideas dwindle. They just kind of go away, because then Monday, most often you're going back to work and you're exposing yourself to negative people with their negative ideas, and they challenge your faith. And so we want you to take comfort in the fact that you're not alone in this adventure. You see, Paul noticed that people who accepted the Christian ideas had moments of great exultation. Then they suddenly fell into deep depression. And he said, call to remembrance the former days in which, after ye were illuminated, ye endured a great flight of afflictions. He was commenting on how often this happened. So now, Jean, what did Moses do?
Well, you know, Reverend Irma, Moses certainly experienced it himself.
Okay.
And many times with the children of Israel during those 40 years of wandering in the desert, he called trials waters.
Okay.
Then is the time, Moses says, when we must show firmness, which is our faith.
Yes, it is. We have to do that. And they wandered around out there in that desert, and I know that as a leader that he became frustrated at certain times because of the negativity that was starting to bubble up from the people not reaching the goal at the time that they thought they should reach the goal. But again, we talk about timing. Everything is in divine right order. So we want to understand that our faith makes us whole. This is true. It's very true. But then we have to have faith in the outcome that's going to show up when the time is right. And it does show up when the time is right. So, Jean, I thank you for reminding us of the value and the power of faith. People often know the promised passages of the Bible by heart, or we can quote Holmes when we say that when trouble strikes, we have no confidence, no faith in the ideas as absolute truth. But just once holding on to them when you're in trouble would give you a good start in this idea of faith. So holding on to the great principles while you are in trouble will invigorate your character. It is the very mystery of godliness. It is. And so we invite you to hold on to all of these spiritual principles of gratitude, intention, forgiveness, of optimism. And these things are only a few of the things that will invigorate your character when you lean not to your own understanding, but as we say quite often, but we listen to the whispers from Spirit, because Spirit has poured itself into us. So what stands? What is it that stands between you and your good, your belief in the absence of good? What brings you and your good together? And Emma Curtis Hopkins says that what brings you and your good together is your belief in the presence of good. So we want to see God the good in absolutely everything. And she referred to God, that is, Emma Curtis Hopkins referred to God as God the good in everything. So when we have faith in God, when we have faith in love and law, thus we have faith in the good as cutting out our life conditions just right for us, no matter how much chaos there seems to be operating against us. Because you see, God itself is life. Thus, we are to have confidence in life as the outcome. Life wins all the time. And we must be firm on that point, for God is truth. The truth about God, the truth about good is God. God is all. Discord is nothing. Then I invite you to be firm, to say nothing else, to stand to it, allow no other idea. You see, why would we want anything but the truth to interest us? Why would we want anything other than truth? Why should what seems to be challenges baffle you and fill your mind if the truth is God? And you have the truth in the possession of your understanding, and with your understanding is this little thing called wisdom. And that's there when we have that understanding. We do not need to force our will on a situation. We must only tell the truth about God. And Ernest Holmes says that a truth known is instantly manifested. But if we feel confidence that all will come out right, just because a little appearance for the better shows up, then our heart sinks the next moment because a bad appearance set in. We're just a bit unstable. Because when we have faith, when a negative condition presents itself, if we have the faith of a grain of a mustard seed, then we'll know that this is a nothing trying to be something, and it's really nothing. And so we're going to let it go because what? Our faith, Jean, is very, very strong, and it is firm, and it is secure. And we become stabilized by embracing this idea of our faith. We are judging by appearances. When Jesus counseled us against, and Jacob said to his son, unstable as water, when you are unstable as water, thou shalt not excel in anything. So we have fitness that comes to our mind, and our good, being the power, does not make the good come out right. It makes us able to see the good in its true light. All is good in reality. We will see God in everything. In all great lives, you will see what they did when some storm of adversity struck them. Nehemiah never flinched when they told him that if he stayed outside the temple, he would be slain. When they threatened him, he arose and said, such a man as I flee? Should I flee? I will not go in. Paul sang praises to God in prison, and Silas joined him, and a great earthquake shook the foundations of the prison at the sound of their singing. Buddha, Moses, Jesus, Gandhi, King, all stood firm in their faith. Miracles are nothing to the power of this faith or firmness when it is once liberated in you by your firm holding out for the omnipotence of God, for the omnipotence of the truth of God, for the certain action of the principle of goodness. This was so plain to Jesus that he said one grain of faith would move a mountain. And so, how often do we work on building our faith? How do we really embody this idea this morning? Well, I'm going to suggest a practice that was Emma Curtis Hopkins' practice, and that I have been playing with ever since learning about it. So if you've ever wondered why today's talk is entitled what it is, Making a Holy Covenant, then here we go. A covenant means an agreement with Spirit, by which Spirit is to do all things for us, and we do nothing for ourselves. We make a covenant with Spirit to do all things, and we vow to do nothing but trust it entirely. So here's how it goes. I covenant with God of my being, with the God of my being, for great social relationships, and I will do nothing to make this happen, for it is in the action of divine love and intelligence will bring this into being. What does it mean to do nothing? Does it mean to sit and twiddle our thumbs? No, it simply means to do nothing to coerce or to force or to manipulate the will so that it will happen. We don't want to manipulate it. We don't want to try and coerce it. It means not to worry about it into being either, because that worry gets in your way of seeing the manifestation that is happening probably right before your eyes. It means that we will rest in the power of love and intelligence to bring it about, and we will do nothing to bring this about. And we will do the steps that are put in front of us, however, when they are put in front of us. So 2 things in my life have top priority right now. And the first one is my own spiritual growth, and that is constant. We work on that constantly. And as I hope you know, my next idea and priority is the growth of this spiritual community of wake-up awareness. I wrote a covenant for myself regarding this community, and I want to share it with you as an example of the covenant, and with my encouragement that you write covenants of your own. Now here we go. This is the covenant that I have written. I covenant with God of my being to bring forth into manifestation the following ideal: that this radio broadcast, Wake Up Awareness, becomes a vibrant, dynamic, loving community where people are called into their authentic magnificence and are invited and encouraged and supported to spread their wings and fly. And as they do that, they automatically support and encourage others to do the same. You see, we are bursting with energy and excitement, and we feel the powerful presence of God in every activity. We are a community that cares for one another, and we collectively take responsibility for making sure that no one is left outside of the circle. So therefore I, Irma Forward, and my companion, Jean Kennedy, we have all the love, all the strength, all the spiritual depth and humility and personal integrity to have the honor and profound privilege to be the spiritual leaders of this awesome group of people. So this is our covenant with God. And so I invite you to sit down in meditation and to write a holy covenant for your life or for a specific aspect of your life. And keep it in a place where you can see it often. In other words, put it on the refrigerator so that you can see it. This is what I invite you to do. And so at this moment, we have spiritual inspiration in the form of music. And again, we turn to Ricky Byers-Beckwith for Let Me Walk in a Holy, that is W-H-O-L-L-Y, holy, holy, H-O-L-Y, way. And letting us love in a holy, holy way is the power of intention. It is also a sacred covenant, allowing ourselves to be loving in the most holy way. Jean, I believe that you have some prayer requests this morning, and if you could just say names and okay.
So join with me as I speak my word for the following people, and know that divine love and intelligence flows in, through, and around them. For Pam, and for Joanne Kelly, and for Rogue. There's thanksgiving, well-being, and continued healing. We know that there is well-being, and they are surrounded by God's healing light. For Molly, that she allows divine action to work in, through, and around her life. And for Reverend Levon, that perfect divine order is hers now as she walks along her journey. And for the border children, there's well-being and harmony, and there's no discord. And for Joe, that there's perfect order in Joe's life, that everything that he needs is there now. And for all of this, there is love and power going through each and every person I spoke my word for. And for this, I say thank you, God. And I know it's done, and I release my word, and so it is.
And we step into our closing prayer for today. And so every day from sunset, or rather from sunrise to sunset, God is and always has been. This one life that is God's life is our life right now. It is perfect and dwells within the being of each and every one of us. God is absolute love and good and is present everywhere. This love is reflected in our acceptance of healing of all situations of discord and animosity. We further accept for everyone within our sphere of communication, we accept for them prosperity and abundance and a wellspring of perfect health and right relationships. Our best becomes better as we let go of fear and anxiety. And we acknowledge God as our all in all. And so in this awareness, we speak our word of affirmative prayer for absolutely everything that we are experiencing right now. And we give thanks for the healing of all of these affairs. We embrace all world leaders with love and with understanding as they listen to the whispers of spirit. For this, we are so very thankful. We allow this to be our truth this day, and so it perfectly is. Amen and amen. We thank you for being with us this morning. Thank you, Jean. And so it is.